Hi, Nancy, Brian. I'm looking at the presentation by the consultants to the Rate Fairness Committee. 2018 Water and Wastewater Rate Study, Consultants' Recommendation and Staff Proposal. So I go on to the next slide, and here they talk about consultants' retail rate recommendation. Now that's very important. Retail rate recommendation, because I'm not so sure they made that abundantly clear. They talk about the revenue requirements. That's just where revenues for reasonable cost, Proposition 218 compliant, may be generated from reasonable rates. Cost of service, well, they're equal under the revenue requirement approach. Then they talk about the rate design. Well, I'm not going to get into the rate design because they use what economists call multi-part pricing. I won't get into that. And water rates, well, it's nearly the same thing. And then wastewater rates, well, I won't touch that. And then the staff retail rate proposal, preview, external affairs, outreach, and rate fairness board presentation. Well, I think that's what we're talking about right now. So here's a nice picture. This looks encouraging. Look, this is really encouraging. I'm obviously going to see some wonders right now. So here they tell you how they're going to do it. Nice. Look at this. It's some brilliant person. Policy and rate structure review. We're looking for that. Revenue requirement analysis, demand analysis, cost of service analysis. Well, these two have to be equal. Rate design analysis and public outreach and messaging. Rate design, I'm not getting into, but as I understand it, they start with the total expenditures or cost of service, and they divide that by the amount of units of water that they will provide, and that produces a rate quotient. In other words, how much it costs divided by how much you provide, that's the price. Here they go more. I think this is nearly the same thing, redundant. It looks nice. And oh, here's another revenue requirement. Look at that beautiful picture. That must be, is that a wave or the high Sierras? Can't tell. Okay, let's look at this. Water rate revenue forecast. Well, here they say retail revenues under existing rates. Well, that's just simply price times quantity sold. But they say, but why do they put that in a forecast? Because they need more revenues than this under their capital budgeting program. Wholesale rate revenues are set by the Master Water Sales Agreement in 2009. That's a contractual deal, which I think needs to be revisited. Other operating revenues, programmatic revenues, and non-debt capital revenues. I'm not so sure what that means. Is that the money they get from their liquidity in the treasurer's short-term fund? I don't know. Anyway, they add all these up. Wholesale is the Bay Area Water Supply and Conservation Agency payment, and theoretically we get we charge them for the entire water, and then we charge them back on and allocate it on cost. We get 1/3 of the water supposedly, and we pay 1/3 of the cost. And this must be what we charge them. I'm sure that must be the basket charge. that doesn't seem to increase very much. Anyway, I'm not going to get onto this because it's not defined enough. Here we go. So here's a nice picture. This is what we should be. Retail rate revenues. Here's what I'd like to see. Well, that's not what they were forecasting in February of 28th of 2017. But there's no numbers attached to it. You just have to look at pretty pictures. That's inexcusable. And waste. I'm not going to do wastewater rates because we won't get through it in the hour we spend with Harlan. That wastewater forecast, cost of service, final results. This looks exciting. Complete revamp of O&M allocation. I have no idea what this means. And now we get another nice picture. Water rate requirement allocation. Test year, which is 2015. That's really traditional for utilities to have a test year. Now they have a test year, which is 3 years, right? So that really should probably be plural. And they go single family residential, multifamily irrigation, non-residential, and private fire service. When I consulted to M&M, I only got the volumes for single family residential, multifamily residential, and what they called commercial. And this is clearly more. And that's why the volumes they sold given to me were like something like 24 million units versus 28, which they're using in their forecast. Water revenue requirements, customer class allocation. I don't think they do this with this level of detail. Here's 68% base, 63%. I would like to see the algorithm that produced these results, so I can't really comment. Again, this is unclear what they're doing. It's just pretty pictures. Wastewater, I'll go past that quickly. Wastewater consultants, retail rate. This is exciting. Retail rate, water recommendations, current pictures, interruption. This is all just verbiage. I want numbers, and I didn't get the numbers. And rate design, wastewater again. Well, here they're saying that they're going to rate increases are going to increase at 8, 8, 7, and 7%. Why didn't they tie that back here? Why didn't they just do it straightforward? Like, I'll show you back what I'm talking about. Why did they present this nonsense? If you're going to increase the rates, you're going to have under existing rates. But then they start showing us 8% increase. So why did they do this for a forecast? It's meaningless, as I think the whole thing is really meaningless, to be honest with you. And let's go back here. Well, this is an interesting graph. When I consulted to them, I asked them to tell me to break out their customer use by these categories, not these general statements here, which anyone can look on any book, any publication of PUC and get that. So did we pay all that money for this? And then monthly service charge. These are all very good to tell us this is how they're going to break it down. But I would like to see how they came to this. And, this is wastewater, so it's the same thing, though. Wastewater, staff rate. Oh, here we're on staff. So staff is water. Well, if they increase the rates by 9%, and they have an elasticity of demand of minus 0.25. That means that the quantity demanded is going to decrease over, say, a 10% raise, that's easy, of 2.5%. I don't see them showing that. And I hammered that into them in my meetings with them, different or rate smoothing. I have no idea what that. About rate smoothing, you can't do rate smoothing under Proposition 218. You can only charge people the rates for current services. They can't shift those rates around, smoothing or blending. They must be for current services provided. That's the 2015 San Juan Capistrano. Oh, that's the end of it. Anyway, let's go and look at what I would suggest doing and what I told them to do. Here is this was a bit more clean cut in February, and maybe I caused them to become more oblique. But here's what they were forecasting, the revenues they were requiring, both capital and O&M. Here's the increases in those revenues. Here was their volumetric assumptions. This is a major mess up. They didn't change. They assumed that they could add rates, perfectly inelastic, and they could get those revenues. Well, they can't. So then I imputed the elasticities, and here it is down here. On my model, you can change it very quickly. And this also subsumes rates will drive demand down, but the wealth effect, which is found through income, will drive them up. I took that into account here. So here is what their volumes will look like with a very conservative elasticity of demand. They're lower than what they were using, which means their calculations are off. So then I worked out what their rates would be under their assumptions, and what the rates will be in reality, rate increases. And as you can see, here's their rates, Here's their rates under their assumption, and here's their rates under using elasticities, and here's the difference. And you can see in some years the difference in the rate increases is substantial. Their average rate increase is 11.68. I mean, it's 11.68 for CCF, and under a realistic assumption, it's 12.98. That's just an average, but look, that's not a weighted volumetric average either. I can do that later. So I am greatly concerned. See if I can pull up your other document here. Oh, here it is. Oh, here we go. Oh, this is staff. I don't think it's much different, to be honest with you. Wastewater study. Minor tweaks. What does a minor tweak mean to a ratepayer? Wouldn't have got to write a check for it. That sort of beguiles me. Oh, here their rate increases. They're much higher. These must be put into a model, and the volumes that they're going to sell adjusted. They did not do that, as I just showed you. I have no idea what all this means. I need to see the numbers, and I need to see them specifically broken out for the category that they're trying to produce a rate for. That is retail water rates. That's the aggregate of all their retail water customers. They've got various customer classes. You sum them together. You take a weighted average of rates. You historically look at how the demand has gone. You calculate an elasticity of demand, an income elasticity. You put them into your future equation. You go ahead and forecast. More of the same. I have, this is just qualitative verbiage versus quantitative math. And without knowing how many customers in each class and that, and getting detailed information, I really can't comment. I've asked for it, and they apparently complained to the head person that I was asking for too much. Well, I'm sure these people are getting paid enough to be able to quantify those factors. Oh, I'm not going to do wastewater, stormwater, drought surcharge. Well, you've raised some excellent questions about that. What is surcharge? And I think what you're asking is the surcharge being added to pay off debt service charges, which are becoming enormous. Drought costs. I don't know why East Bay mud popped up here. I thought we're dealing with SSPUC. Here, and this is showing you how they're going to add it in for a drought. And does this approximately $4 increase mean that that's going to pay off debt service that may have been inappropriately expended? I don't know. I just don't have those facts for me. I have real doubts about the management of money at the SFPUC. I think it has to have a stricter compliance approach. Oh, here's another one. Well, I'm not gonna, this is good, but it's just pretty pictures without having a table to tell me how they did it. And more. Oh, this is wastewater. Oh, here's single family, low. What's it? They don't tell. Oh, yeah, they do. Two. We need numbers next to this, and so we can do some calculations. Oh, this is good. I have no idea how they reached those numbers. And I have no idea how they allocated between, well, they did. They tell you the volumes they looked at. So they do have these data, which I couldn't get. All I got was what I showed you that time. Combined bills, multi-family combined bills, and commercial. Multifamily concerns me because a lot of the apartments in San Francisco, especially where I live, don't have meters. So there's no way of rationing water. It's a beggar thy neighbor type thing. And I have, so I don't know what we are. We're not a small, I think we should be in this group here, not a small hotel, a large hotel, because it's massive. Oh, good questions. That's Charles Pearl. Outreach, now they're going to outreach. I'm looking at this 30 well-paid trained speakers, 6 weeks. Here's a calendar, you're well aware of that. Thanks, Nancy, for listening. That's all I got to say.